What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of NFL picks. Man, it's so hard to believe we are officially in the final part of the regular season. We're in the final 4 weeks. Christmas is a week from this upcoming Monday. Man, it's just so hard to believe that we're already nearing the end of it. But we still have a lot of things to figure out before this thing ends, or the playoffs at least get going. And it's still far from over. But we got a lot of things to figure out, man. I believe 24 teams are either in playoff position or only one game back of playoff position. Man, we're gonna have some great finishes here in these final few weeks. This might have been one of the toughest weeks to pick all year. Definitely got some games that, honestly could really go either way. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Last week I went 8-7. I've really just kind of been, staggering, to this, really just going 500 each week. The 2 Monday night games last night, I don't think many people saw coming. Overall record 125-83. Lock of the week 9-5. I believe I had Miami as my lock of the week, and well, they couldn't perform the Hemlock maneuver, could they? I did pick Buffalo as my upset of the week, and they did come through. So 9-5 on lock of the week, 5-9 on upset of the week. Thursday night football. Battle of two 5-8 teams in the AFC West. The LA Chargers, they're now without Justin Herbert for the rest of the year, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, led by, I believe, Aiden O'Connell. Sounds like Thursday night football to me. Look, both of these teams are pretty much out of it. Their seasons are over. It just, to me, though, it feels like the Chargers are absolutely staggering, and they're on the collapse. I feel like the Raiders, they're going to fight for Antonio Pierce to give him a chance at that job. So I got to go with the Raiders here. I feel like, it'll probably be a close game, but I just got to go with the Raiders here. This could be, because now you're looking at it. If I was the Chargers after this game, you lose, I just fire Brandon Staley right there. No point of keeping him the rest of the year. But with that being said, I think the Raiders win. I could see the Chargers firing Brandon Staley, putting Kellen Moore in as interim those final 3 games, but I'm going to go with the Raiders here. Saturday, we got some Saturday football. Saturday triple header. First game in Cincinnati, 1 o'clock. Battle of two 7-6 teams. Teams both still very much fighting for playoff position. Minnesota, despite how ugly they won, is still in prime playoff position in the NFC. The Bengals are looking to stay in playoff position in the AFC. So interesting matchup. To me, I definitely feel like this is a game you look at and you would probably favor the Bengals. But what I look at is I say, man, it's not now. Nick Mullins is starting at the Vikings. Just found that out. But man, this is one of those games that I really feel like it's the National Football League and any team can win. And I feel like, that Jake Browning, couple weeks, it was really nice to see, but it feels like this could be where it comes back down to earth. And I'm honestly going to say it is. I don't see this being a very high scoring game, even though I definitely think it could be. I actually think this leans into the lower scoring game. I wouldn't be shocked to see Josh Dobbs come in for the Vikings at some point this game if Nick Mullins is really stinking it up, and Minnesota pulls away the win here. I just feel like that's what's going to happen. 4:30 on Saturday, another battle of two 7-6 teams with AFC playoff implications. Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts. Pittsburgh has looked ugly these past 2 games that they really should have ran away with versus Arizona and then versus New England, both at home in Heinz Field or whatever it's called. I still think of it as Heinz Field. I think it's called Acrisure Stadium now, but to me it's still Heinz Field. the Colts, man, they've really overachieved this season. You got to give credit to Shane Steichen and the job he's done. And he lost Anthony Richardson. He's still doing this, man. Give credit to those guys in Indianapolis. I'm going to go with the home team here. I think the Colts are going to pull it off. I think they get that running game going. And Pittsburgh staggering, yes, I definitely still think there's a chance they can get there, but that winning season streak, it might be in question after all, because those are two games that you really, honestly, you should have 9 wins right now already if you're Pittsburgh, but you didn't get it. Those were two of the most gimme games you could have if you were the Steelers. And they're staggering, man. So I got to go ahead and give this one to the Colts. Saturday night in Detroit. The Lions, 9-4. They've been kind of, they haven't been looked as strong and as tough as they did to start off the season. They had an upset loss versus Chicago. To be honest, I really probably should have picked the Bears, considering how that first game went in Detroit. But, hey, that's on me. And the Broncos, man, they've turned that season around. They really have. They started 1-5. I know they lost to Houston, but they got back on track versus the Chargers. But with that being said, they are in Detroit, and it is that hostile environment. I feel like the Lions come away with this one. I think that offense really does get it going. And I think Denver's offense will put up a nice fight as well. But it just feels like that offense gets it going, and they're going to come away with the win, primarily because I think Jared Goff gets back on track. St. Brown, Gibbs, about to say DeAndre Swift, Montgomery. I really think that offense gets it going here, and is able to give the Lions the win. Next game, heading into our Sunday 1:00 window. The New York Giants, man, those chicken cutlets. Tommy DeVito, that agent, the DeVito family, the big story in the Big Apple this week. They go down to New Orleans this week. To face the Saints. The Saints are in a 3-way tie for the NFC South. I'm going to go with the Saints here. I feel like it's a nice story. Granted, I really am rooting for the Giants for obvious reasons. But it just feels like to me this is probably going to end up being an ugly game, one that I think the Saints come away with in the end to keep pace in that NFC South. Giants, it's a great story. Trust me, it really is. But at the end of the day, man, it doesn't feel like the Giants, to me, are going to come away with this one. But I could definitely be wrong. I could. Next game, you have the Chicago Bears, man. Chicago, they've been getting on track, and they've put together some nice wins as of recently. Cleveland, man, Joe Flacco, he's come in there, and he's making sure that they find a way to win, and you got to respect that. To me, though, it feels like this is probably going to be a very ugly, nasty ball game. Doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of scoring in it. I don't know what the over-under is on this, but I'd probably go under. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns win. I think the defense probably wins them this one. Just to me, it doesn't feel like Chicago is going to go into Cleveland and beat a Browns team in prime playoff position. They've had a nice run the past few weeks, but it feels like it's going to end here. Feels like Cleveland's defense gets it done for them. Offense does just enough. So the Browns pick up the win. All right, this next game, obviously, be talking about it all later this week. My Falcons, 6-7, going into Charlotte to face the 1-12 Panthers. All I'm gonna say is you better not lose this game. You better not lose this game. And I don't think we will. I think we're going to go into Charlotte. I think we're going to take care of business. I think Drake and Jesse Bates are in store for 2 big games. I'll go ahead and say that right now. There really is nothing else to be said. This is the Panthers. This is the Panthers, and you better win this game. And I definitely think you will. So obviously going with the Falcons there. Next game, another game, with implications to the Falcons and the NFC South. Battle of 2 6-7 teams. Green Bay let an opportunity slip through their hands Monday night. And the DeVito story just capitalized on it. And you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the first place in the NFC South right now. But going into Lambeau Field, man, the Packers are fighting to keep that season alive. To me, it feels like the Packers are going to come away with the win. It feels like it'd definitely probably be a close game. But to me, I got to go ahead and give the Packers the win here versus the Bucs. Getting back to 500, so this would mean that, hopefully after this week at least, the Falcons will be back in first place. But I do think the Packers win. I feel like they're, trying to stay in playoff position. Tampa Bay, going up there. I don't know what the weather is going to be like, but I feel like that could be another key factor if it's colder, especially if it's coming down in Green Bay. Next game, the New York Jets. They had maybe Zach Wilson had a career game last week. They're going down to Miami to face the Dolphins, and man, the Dolphins, they blew one. they blew one. Last night versus the Titans, man. I mean, you're talking about it for the Dolphins, to blow that game. It really, I think, it has to take a shot to where, how legitimate you see Miami. But with that being said, I do think the Dolphins are going to win this game, even though nothing is certain. I feel like this could be one of those games that maybe the Jets come out and win, perhaps. Not totally, giving up on that season yet, but it just feels like here the Dolphins will get back on track. Tyreek Hill, hopefully he's able to get out there and play. But it feels like the Dolphins will win this game. But as I say, again, look at last night. You never know. Next game here, the Chiefs, they've really had a tough past few weeks. But to me, going into New England, Patriots coming off a nice win versus Pittsburgh on Thursday night in Heinz Field. But with that being said, it feels like the Chiefs are going to get back on track this week. It feels like they have to, they're getting ready to go on that, make another run, at another Lombardi, even, with how many holes that roster has. To me, it really does feel like, the Chiefs, they're going to get back on track here versus the Patriots, getting a nice win. And final game of the 1:00 window. AFC South battle, the Texans, man, they kind of crapped the bed themselves too in New York on Sunday. They go to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Titans coming off that big comeback win versus Miami. They're really just, I feel like the Titans are trying to build momentum. Houston obviously has a lot to fight for with playoff positioning and all that stuff. I feel like it's probably going to be a close game, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans here. Look, man, I feel like CJ Stroud's going to bounce back. Nico Collins, all those weapons. Singletary as their running back, he's been pretty all right at times. It definitely feels like, Tennessee's going to come out and give them a good fight, but I'm going to go ahead and say CJ Stroud probably leads them down the field, game-winning drive. Texans get back on track and win. Next game heading to the 4:00 window. San Francisco 49ers, 10-3. Arizona Cardinals, 3-10. In Glendale, the toaster, some might call it. Don't know what the weather's like down. I would assume it's cooled down a little bit, but still definitely probably one of the more warmer places to be this time of year. It to me feels like, this is just staying on pace for San Francisco is what this really feels like. Keeping track, not letting anything slip. The 49ers, they control their own destiny to that number 1 seed. And it feels like to me, this is another game you're going to see McCaffrey, Purdy, all the boys over there, Samuel, Kittle, they're going to get it going. The offense does what they do. Ayuk, and 49ers pick up the win. All right, another NFC battle here in the 4-5 window. Washington and the LA Rams. The Rams really, they're looking to keep track with that playoff race too. They had a slow start. They've won the past few weeks. They had a great game in Baltimore that, you know, they just lost in a shootout. Does feel like here they're going to bounce back versus Washington. I mean, I feel like that's a season that isn't going anywhere. And I feel like that's really the feeling in that building. That season probably isn't going anywhere. So feels like here the Rams, this is an opportunity for them to get back into that playoff race. Ron Rivera is probably getting fired at the end of the year for Washington. If not right here, perhaps. But I'll go ahead, pick the Rams here to bounce back and get that win. 425. The Dallas Cowboys, man, they, you know, is this finally their year? Is this finally their year? They head up to Buffalo to take on a Bills team that won last week versus Kansas City, is looking to get back into the playoff race. Man, I feel like, you know, that this has a pretty good game written all over it. It really does. Battle of obviously one of the superpowers of the NFC, and a Buffalo team that you can't count out yet. I actually, you know, whether this is the Cowboys' year or not, odds are it's probably not. I don't think this is going to be the Cowboys' week. Though I think the Bills are going to find a way to pull this thing out. They're not out of it. They're not dead in the water yet. It feels like to me, Josh Allen and Diggs, you know, the prime opportunity for them to get that connection going, like I said last week. And they did enough to win last week in Kansas City. You're going to have to do a lot more with that offense to win versus Dallas. And I definitely feel like the offense shows up here. It's in Buffalo. Got to go ahead and say I got to give it to the Bills here. Sunday night in Jacksonville. Big playoff implications for the AFC and that potential number one seed race. Baltimore, they're in current control of that number one seed, going to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. Man, I got to be honest. It really feels like if Baltimore wins this game, maybe they've all but, you know, wrapped up that number one seed. But, man, Trevor Lawrence is one tough son of a gun. I do believe he'll be out there playing. It definitely feels like the odds are stacked up against Jacksonville, but I feel like we're going to get a good game out of this. I really do. I'm going to go ahead and say in my upset of the – well, not upset of the week. I got some upsets on here. I really do. But, you know, maybe you can call it one of, you know, upsets of the week that could potentially happen, or at least I think will happen. I think Jacksonville's going to pull it off here. I think you're going to get a pretty good game in Duval County on Sunday night. And I think that, you know, the Ravens are going to fall. I really do. They're coming off that shootout win. Is the offense going to be able to do it 2 weeks in a row? We'll see, man. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the Jaguars here. And on Monday night, this was a game that was actually flex. This is our first flex Monday night football game ever. The Eagles, they're looking to bounce back. They have not had a very favorable past few weeks. They go up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and the Seahawks, you know, they're really looking to get back into it. Man, I honestly just feel like, though, you know, Philadelphia, they're in a tough skid. You know, they're coming up, you know, off of 2 losses where they really got beat up in, you know, San Francisco and Dallas. They're having to go to Seattle on a Monday night. A Seahawks team that, you know, for a minute was in that game versus the 49ers. You know, you would maybe think Philly bounces back. I'm actually going to go ahead and give Seattle the win here. I think they're the ups. I'm going to say they're the upset of the week, because I just feel like that's a bigger upset. But I feel like Seattle's going to get it done. I really do. I think they're going to do just enough, and I really feel like they shut that Philly offense down to the best of their ability. I definitely feel like the Seahawks can come away with the win here. But with that being said, Week 15 picks. Y'all already know the drill. Subscribe, post notification bell. Obviously, I'll be putting out content later in the week. Man, it's so hard to believe it is already the holiday season. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.